This right here is Claude Fable 5's entire understanding of AI YouTube channels. AI assisted channels like this one, or this one, for example, can sometimes earn thousands of dollars a video, as you can see on the right over here, the estimated earnings. Here's how the YouTube brain works to make similar videos. I'm gonna paste in 3 channels with content that I wanna make and click Analyze Channels. These channels are about geography, so these are the kind of videos we're going for. It's gonna analyze everything, including the top performing transcripts on all the channels. Now that it's done, we can read about the winning patterns and the strategy behind these channels. And if we scroll down, we can choose a channel identity for our channel based on the successful parts of their channels. So we can choose how close we want to be to their ideas. I'm going to pick closest to them. So we can go with this one, Atlas Unhinged. I'm just going to click on it and then click on Save Fingerprint. Now we can use that fingerprint to actually create the videos. So here it is, Atlas Unhinged. We can come down here to Generate Video Ideas and just click on Generate Ideas. And we can also add optional guidance for the ideas if we want to specify what exactly they're about. Now we have our video ideas here. We can choose how long the video is going to be. We can add optional extra instructions for the final prompt. And we can just basically go through and pick which one we think is best. So let's say we pick this one right here, why 95% of Saudi Arabia is a completely empty death zone, okay? And we can just click on Create Vidrush Prompt. Now we have our final prompt here that we can copy and use to create the video. I've already done this once before about the Sawalki gap, as you can see here in past Vidrush prompts. So all I did was copy this and paste it right here into Vidrush and hit go. As you can see, here is my recent generation. So let's check it out.
There is a stretch of flat Polish farmland roughly 40 miles wide, narrower than many people's morning commute. And it is the single line that could drag all 32 members of NATO into a war with Russia. It sits between the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad and
so we can make any edits down here at the bottom that we want. And then once we're done editing our video, we can come up here in the top right and click on render to render our finished video. As well, down here in the bottom right, we have a thumbnail generated for us as well. We also had Will from our community make $4,000 with YouTube with the help of the AI systems on my channel. So if you want to improve your AI skills to help with your YouTube journey, this video is for you. We're going to cover how to build this system with Fable 5 and Claude Code, and how to use Vidrush as well. The total cost for this system are Claude, you will need the $20 a month plan to actually use Claude Code to create the system. Vidrush is $100 a month to create the actual videos. And with Claude, there is some API credits for the brain to run, but that'll usually only be about $5 to $10. So the total is about $120 a month for the whole system. So let's get started. You can go ahead and download Claude if you haven't already. We're going to be using the desktop app, but you can use it however you like. Make sure you use this link, claude.com, this exact link here, and then you can download for Windows or whichever operating system you are on. Now I'm going to go ahead and download my finished version of the project so we can see how it'll look once we're done. So I'm going to download it from my school, and here is the finished download. So we can go ahead and open this up. .env is where we're going to put our 2 API keys. Once you put your API keys in there, all you got to do is double click on Start YouTube Brain and it will boot up and be ready to go. So now we're actually going to build it from scratch. So there is a prompt in the description of the video that includes all the instructions and details to actually build the exact same project, but on your system. So it will look a little bit different. Here we are inside of Claude Code. So in the top left, make sure you click on Code right here. And down here, I like to set it to bypass permissions. It just speeds things up. You don't have to do that. And then we're actually going to create a folder and choose a folder to build the entire project in. So right here, you can click here next to the local button and click on Open Folder. I'm going to do on my desktop, so I already made this one. You can just right click, New Folder, and then you can select your folder, and that's where the project will be built. Now in the bottom right, I'm going to be using Fable 5 right here on medium. You can use whichever model you want. I would recommend at least using Opus, but we're going to use Fable 5 because it is available right now. So this is going to be in the description. Again, once you've copied that, you can go ahead and click enter, and then we're going to walk through the questions that it asks us and how to actually set it up properly. So let's start that. The first thing it's going to ask us is, or most likely for you as well, once you get this question, the Vidrush prompt guide and capabilities files aren't in the project folder yet. How will you provide them? In the description of this video, I am providing this free Google link where you can download these 2 text files. All these is Vidrush can only make a certain kind of video and it needs a certain kind of prompt. And this is just going to teach Claude exactly what that is. So we're going to download, once you download those, you're going to want to go into the same project folder that you made earlier and selected in Claude, which is this one. I just made mine on my desktop. And once you download those 2 files, just put them into this folder because then Claude can actually read them. So for that question, I'm just going to say I'll drop files in the folder, which we've already done. Make sure you do that now. Now it's going to ask you this. Make sure you say no API key scrape everything. It should say YTDLP. This is important for it to actually work properly. Okay, so it's going to need an LLM. Do we have an Anthropic API key? We'll go over how to get that a little later. Make sure you say yes. This is how the actual brain, when you click generate idea, is going to actually work, is it's going to use the Anthropic API key to use Claude whenever you need it. So make sure you say yes to that question. What should the app itself be? You mentioned tabs and a brain map, which implies a UI. So make sure for this question, you say local web app because we want it to be in our browser. And yeah, we want it to be in our browser and its own separate app. So we're going to say local web app. Now, this next question it's asking is about a feature I haven't talked about yet with the YouTube brain. So if we go have a look, if you notice this right here, your channel data, when we were making our ideas, we didn't use this. But if you already have a channel, you can put your channel in here and click Analyze My Channel. And it's actually going to take your best videos and your outliers and use those patterns and those ideas as well when generating the video ideas. So it's the other successful channels plus what worked for you. And it's using both of those to create new video ideas for you. So what it's asking here is, are the public stats enough, like the views, the transcript, whatever? Or do we want to actually connect like all the little stats that you get in YouTube Studio on your channel? We're going to pick public stats are enough because that's just going to complicate things to actually connect all our channel stats. So make sure you pick public stats are enough. How deep should channel analysis go per channel? So this is basically how many videos it's going to analyze on every channel. So this is going to affect the API cost of generating ideas and analyzing channels. You can choose whatever you want for this. I'm just going to go with the recommended option, 20 videos and the most recent 20 on the channels. Where should fingerprints and generated ideas live? I'm just going to pick local JSON files. That's just going to keep it simple. All right, looks like our entire YouTube brain is done. There's one more thing that we need to do to make sure it actually works, but it's going to give you a little rundown of what it did, and you can have a look at it on the right over here. So as you can see, it's got it looks pretty similar to the one that we made. It even has the brain map. We haven't added any channels yet, so it doesn't have the whole map mapped out yet. But in order for this to work, we need to actually provide an API key for this to function properly. So we're going to go back to Google and we're going to search up Claude console. Go ahead and click on Claude console. It's platform.claude.com. You can sign in with the same Claude account you use everywhere. Then once you've signed in on here, you're going to want to go to add funds. So you're going to need to add a little bit of credit so that the system can actually run as discussed earlier in the video. You can go ahead, click on add funds, and that's going to give you some credit. Once you've added funds, click on API keys on the left, over here in the top left, API keys. Then you can go ahead and click on create key up here in the top right. Name it. You don't need an expiration, never. And then click on add. Now it's going to give you an API key. Click on copy key. Go back into your project files. So mine was on my desktop right here. Go back into your project files, open .env. And as you can see right here, it'll say paste your Anthropic API key. We're going to go right there. Control V, make sure you click File, Save, and you are good to go. Now we're going to come back into Claude and we'll say, I added my API key. So what it's done for us now is it's actually used the API key to run a little test of the system. So it found YouTube channels and ran them through the YouTube brain. So you can see our brain map. Whoa, look at that. Has the little physics. So you can see our brain map is starting to get filled. And now we can use it. So you'll just put your channels that you want to create a fingerprint of and then click Analyze Channels right there. It's actually already tested that for us. So in the Fingerprints tab right here, you can just click on Use, or you can just go to Create Videos from Fingerprint. And we have a fingerprint that it selected for us right here. You can add your own channel to add that as inspiration, how many ideas you want, if you want to give it, a guidelines for the ideas, and then click Generate. Now we have some ideas here. It even talks about the hook separately right there. And then you just go, okay, create a Vidrush prompt for that one. And it automatically created a Vidrush prompt for this bottom right one, the final transmission of Frederick Valentic. So we can click on Vidrush prompt, and this is the Vidrush prompt here for our final video that we can click copy on right there. So how do we start up this app outside of Claude when we actually want to use it? Well, we're going to go to our project files again here. And when I made it earlier on my own, it actually had the start the brain file in here so that I could just double click that every time I want to use it. This time, it doesn't actually have anything clear here for us to start it. So we're just going to ask it. We're going to say, how do I start the app when I want to use it? We're just going to ask it. So it's telling us we can do it through the terminal, but I want it to be simpler. So I'm just going to ask it, can you make a bat file to do that for me? What a bat file is, it's just basically kind of like what it's asking us to do here, but just in a file. So I'm going to say, can you make a bat file to do that for me? All right, so it's gone ahead and made a file for us to start it up whenever we want. Right here, start YouTube brain. So that's where we'll go whenever we want to start it up and use it. And it's also stopped this. So you'll also have to stop the one that was running here because you can't have two running at the same time on the same port where it's being hosted. So it automatically tested that. When this is open, that just means that it's running. And it automatically opened this in our browser so that we can start to use it right away. Now we're going to move on to Vidrush and actually making the videos with the prompts. Really quick, before we do that, something important is to make a Claude MD file. So I'm just going to say make a Claude MD file with all project information and hit enter. And what that's going to do is it's just going to allow us to open a new session in this project, and we'll be able to modify it properly or make changes whenever we need. So now we have the Vidrush prompt, but this isn't useful to us if we don't have Vidrush because we can't make a video from this otherwise. So we need to actually set up Vidrush itself to use the prompt to make the real video. So down in the description, you will find a link to Vidrush. Make sure you use the link, and you can also use the referral code COHENAGI to bypass the waitlist. Okay? Once you're here on Vidrush, you can go ahead and click on Get Started. You can make your account. It's going to ask you a few questions, and then it's going to say referral code. Once it tells you that you're in the waitlist, you put in the code COHENAGI, and that's going to let you skip the waitlist. Once you've done that, you will be on this screen right here. So we can get our Vidrush prompt based on the video that we're happy with. I'm going to go ahead and copy that from our YouTube brain, and we're going to paste it straight into Vidrush like that. Now, before we can go ahead and make that video, we actually need to make a brand profile. So down here, click right here and click New Brand Profile. You can name it whatever you want. I would name it what your channel's about, whatever. I'm just going to do a test. You can hit Next. Choose your language. And this is where you can choose the voice for your video. So you can go through here, look for a voice that suits your niche and what you're talking about. So I'm just going to pick
Problem solving is the magic reel of life's movie.
that one, for example. Then we can go to Creative Assets, and this is where you can choose the background image of your videos. When there's like a small video showing up or a picture or whatever, this is going to be in the background. Then you can choose the theme based on what your channel is about. So let's say we wanted history because we feel like, or maybe standard. Whatever we feel would go well with geography for this channel, or whatever your channel is about, right? Down here, you can pretty much leave all of this. This is just to disable things if you don't like them in your video. It's usually pretty good at adding good animations, so I just leave that. Then you can go to compliance. You can just leave all of this, and you are basically good to go. You can click Save Brand Profile in the top right. Once you've saved your profile, it'll be selected right here. You can leave it on Deep Video V1 Pro. It's the best model. Or you can go to this one. It's a little bit cheaper. And then you can hit this blue arrow to start the process. Now, you can pick outliers on what your video is specifically about for the thumbnail reference. So it'll make a thumbnail like this video. You can also put in a custom URL if you saw a thumbnail that you really liked. So let's say I really liked this thumbnail. You can go ahead and click Continue. And this is just going to be double checking all of the options that were sent in the prompt. So the duration, what the video is actually about, the voice, all of that. You can pretty much just click Approve and Continue and just review it all. Right? This is all the stuff we picked earlier. We picked that earlier. I don't actually have enough credits for this one. But once you have enough credits, all you gotta do is click on Approve and Continue, and it will generate your entire video for you to edit and then eventually upload. And as discussed earlier, this is what it will look like once it's done. You have your timeline where you can make any edits. You render up here in the top right to actually get the file itself to upload. And then down here in the bottom right is your thumbnail. That's all I've got for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.